Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of a new book that we have coming out. This one is called The Energy Healer's Oracle. This is volume 2, Tools for Total Transformation. We have the volume 1 book in the series that was published a bit ago. And a huge thank you goes to our lead author, Angela Aurora Medway Smith, for this whole big vision of this book series. And I'm just so grateful to you, Angela. We wouldn't be here without you today. Your vision, your mission to pull the world's best authors and energy healers together to really explain what this is and how to use it to help you all thrive in your life. Big love goes out to Angela today. But I have some pretty cool, amazing people in my Zoom room today. Jen Palmer is a transformational healer and teacher who helps clients catapult forward in their lives through her Healing Activation Mastery program. She has 15 years of experience in healing facilitation and is the founder of a large wellness center in Maryland where thousands of clients have experienced deep and profound healing. Nydia Lesa Stone is here. She's a global somatic therapist and coach, a master teacher of the healing arts, yoga and tantra, an accredited holistic healer, and a passionate guide of your transformation and joyful living. Debs is a poet, author, and energy healing facilitator who loves helping people uncover their supersonic self, that best self, using a variety of modalities to suit the individual. I can't wait to talk to you ladies today about this topic. Nydia, we're going to start with you. Tell us about the amazing chapter that you wrote.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Angela, my dear sister and friend, and who invited me again for the second round of this wonderful book series. So in my chapter this time, I write about, the title is Secrets of Sechem and Venusian Womb Wisdom, Wild Instincts Unchained for Inner Truth and Sensual Liberation. So in this chapter, I write about mainly my personal experience and initiation with Sekhmet, the goddess Sekhmet in her temple in Egypt, where I got gifted a new frequency that we will, together with Angela, hopefully soon register as a new healing modality, because Sechem has been received by Patrick Ziegler in 1979 already in the Great Pyramid of Giza, and which is a very masculine environment. And we are in the age of the feminine, Aquarius. And so I got gifted a frequency that is the feminine version of Sechem, actually. And so I'm writing about this, and since this fits right in my work, I work with women. I work with tantric liberation. I work with sensuality, with the wild, wise warrior and medicine woman. So I do that in my retreats. I developed a concept that is called the 4 agreements of the feminine, and the 7 rites and rituals of rewilding. We will talk maybe about this a little bit later. But so this is what the story is and the background in my chapter.
So what do you think the most important thing is for people to understand about having a balance between the masculine and feminine energies?
Oh, I think it is, the main understanding is that we carry both inside of us. We are leaning sometimes more into the feminine or the masculine side. And if it's completely out of balance, we can experience disorientation. We can experience physical and especially emotional disturbances, and to have this, like, we call it also the dragon lines, to have this harmonizing and moving through the body in a balanced kind of way will have an effect on our entire being, how we experience life, our sensuality, sexuality, how our values and experience in the world, the outside world, the perception of the outside world, everything is linked to that. Our entire well-being, for me, is linked to that.
I love it. I love listening to you explain that. There are going to be a lot of people who are just dipping a toe in the pool of energy healing, you guys. And we want to kind of open up your mind to the different kinds of possibilities. But Nydia said the thing I was hoping is, like, you might be experiencing some disharmony, some disturbance, some disorientation. It's a lot of D words, isn't it? And you may not understand what's going on. So this healing frequency, modality, these tools that we're gifting you could be a piece of the puzzle. You don't even know how it could bring that harmony and health to you. Nydia, thank you so much for being here today. Jen, tell us about your chapter.
Hi. So my chapter, it's chapter 5, and it's called Holistic Metamorphosis: What to Do When Nothing Else is Working. And it started when I was 18 years old. I got very sick with amalgam fillings. I had 12 of them put in all at once, and I didn't realize how toxic they were. And so it started a journey of not feeling well. And then my oldest son, who I had at the age of 25, developed autism. And then my other son, who I had at the age of 28, had other health issues, asthma, eczema, and like just all kinds of digestive issues. And so I went on this journey. I was a computer programmer. And I went on this journey trying to figure out, how do you heal? Because none of us were highly functional. And as the years were going by, I was getting worse and worse. And I remember the story talks about how I had this experience in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, basically at the dark night of my soul, begging for help from whatever this is, God, creator, source, whatever you want to call this, that there's this feeling that I was being led on a journey for a reason. And so I talk a lot about what that was. And I was doing all the things. I was, diet, supplementation. I was, dipping into detox, but I didn't quite know yet what I was doing with that. And none of it was working. It all was backfiring. And I was not able to get results no matter who I saw or what was happening. And it wasn't until I started healing the deep emotional aspects and the traumas I've been through that a whole lot of things started unfolding for me. So the story is all about my journey in healing my trauma, my emotion, my belief system. And it's still a journey today. We're all still on that journey. And it's just an ever unfolding experience of the deeper aspects of who we are. And how do you do that? And so many of us get stuck. We just feel so stuck. And I don't think there's a person alive who can't say that at some point in their lives, they have just felt stuck and they didn't know why. And that journey is really about self-discovery. It's you coming up against you. And in holistic metamorphosis and the other work I do, it's really about discovering what is going on within you that you're needing to look at, because everything that's happening in your experience is about you, even though we don't always recognize what it's trying to tell us. So the work that I'm doing is trying to help people come to that and honor that process. We're always looking for the answers to switch us right away, but a lot of times it's the work, right? It's what we have to do to develop and grow who we are. So that's really what my chapter is all about.
I just listening to you talk about being stuck, and I loved what you said. It's you coming up against you, but you gave me like a little aha about getting stuck. This gets talked about so often, right?
Yeah.
But I am now sort of having a vision of, the universe decides to slow the train down. It's not that you're stuck. It's that there is a purposeful, no, stop, you're benched, pay attention right now, right here, right? Like, you're moving too fast, you're running by it. And I'm now going to stop you, right? What else
Yeah.
do you want to tell people about that?
I feel like everything that we go through in life, it's really to help us discover more about ourselves. We all have work to do. It was a Buddha that said, we're all perfect and we still have work to do, right? Paraphrase. But, so there's so much for us to discover about ourselves. And these catalysts that we go through are opportunities to really grow and heal more deeply and to understand more about what we need to understand within. And all the things that are happening outside of us, it's not even about that. It truly is pointing to what's within us that we need to pay attention to. And I love how you just said it slows us down. I haven't thought about it that way, and that's so true. It really does slow us down on purpose. And sometimes it feels like there's no way, like all the doors seem shut, but it's because we have not gotten what we need yet from the experience. And then all the time you see, as soon as you get it, the doors start opening. And it seems like miraculous, things that were happening, but it's not even that. It's just that, okay, you got it. Now things can move forward. So that's just, in a nutshell, that's what it's all about for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today to talk about
Yeah.
this.
Thank you.
I think from here on out, I'm gonna do this. Yay, I'm stuck. Right? Like, how's that for a reframe, you guys? Like, okay, there's something here. I know there's something here, right? It's a whole nother way to think about it. Debs, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Oh, hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for inviting me. My chapter's number 6. I thought I'd better write that down in case I got it wrong. And it's all about the Akashic Records, and the title is called The Library of Lives, How to Release Self-Doubt for Good. And I know Angela from, she lives in the same, or she's from the same town as me here in South Wales. And when she asked me whether I'd be interested in doing the book, having done a couple of others with you, I was, what can I write about? And I thought about one of the things that I get asked the most about is the Akashic Records. What are the Akashic Records? What can you do with the Akashic Records? Because I do a lot of other practical things, and this is probably one of the more etheric and spiritual and sacred processes, very sacred process. And so because Angela had invited me, something just popped into my head about Angela asking me to do a treatment with her, a session with her, and how it made me feel, and the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, and all of those things that actually kicked in, because having known Angela for so long and how she works with such higher spiritual realms, etc., it really made me sort of feel like I was inadequate. And it's just a chapter about one of the ways that that Akashic Records can be used. They can be used in so many other ways, but it was about my story as well. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of clients feel that therapists, sometimes they put them on a pedestal, and it's sort of, well, no, we're all real people. We've all gone through our own stuff, and we've come through the other way. And this is just one of the modalities that I love working with. Everybody has Akashic Records, and it's an absolute blessing and a pleasure to help people, well, to enter other people's, because it can only be done with their permission. So that's sort of the chapter in a nutshell, really.
Give me one sentence for people who are just hearing the term Akashic Records. What is it? Can you be brief on that?
Well, there's a few different opinions out there as to what exactly they are, but yes, you can imagine it's this massive energetic library. Some people say it's held out in the ether, some people say it's held in their aura, some people say it's held in their soul. To me, it's not really important where it's held. It just contains all of the information of every single life you've ever had on this planet, every single aspect of you, all the things you've done, the vows, the contracts that you've made over time, the programming that you've received, ancestral, the DNA. And basically, it's just a massive library. And you can imagine it like a library, the biggest library you could ever imagine, full of all the books about you. Every single one of them has got your name on the spine.
Thank you. Thanks for trying to explain it. I know that it is not an easy question.
It isn't.
But every time I hear one of you talk about that, it gets a little clearer. So thanks for that. Anything else you want to?
Welcome.
And was there anything
Well,
else you want to tell?
I'm not sure whether I actually made it any clearer. But yeah, some people think of it like a computer database. Some people think of it like a big filing cabinet. It's just a massive place where everything about you is stored. And with that client's permission, I'm able to enter it for them. And there's so much work that can be done within those records, whether it be from specific questions that the client can ask. They can ask specific questions. I find a lot of the record keepers send me a lot of humor. So it's not necessarily a serious process, it's a serious outcome, but it can be done with joy as well. Or it can just be a straightforward clearing, cleansing of all the pre-programming, all the vows, the contracts, the imprints. It's very much an individual process, so it really does depend on what the client is looking for.
Debs, thank you so much for being here today. These are such juicy topics, y'all. Like, we could be here for hours and hours on any one of these things. And I think with Akashic Records, but energy healing in general, what Deb said is so true. There are so many different ways to use these modalities and tools. And it was Angela's mission, and it is mine, with every single collaborative book we publish. We want to give you all of the perspectives and a massive toolkit, so you get to hear all of the individual stories from our authors, beautiful, vulnerable stories about how they got to this place, doing what they do in the world. But then they're going to step up in each chapter and teach you a practical tool, which I think is such a huge and generous gift. And thank you to all three of you for doing all of that so brilliantly. You all teach every day. It's one thing to have your clients in front of you and do your thing, but it's quite another thing to be challenged to put it in black and white in a book in a way that the people really can have an experience with it. And you all are marvelous. You did such a great job with that. Jen, I'm going to start with you on this question. You know, in the beginning of my journey with energy, I had trouble feeling anything.
Mhm.
I didn't know what people were talking about. I would look around me at people in the classes I was taking, and I would think to myself, oh, I guess I can't do that. I can't feel it, you know? And then of course things changed, which is really awesome. But what would you say to somebody in that spot? How could you help them take a step one in terms of what they're even feeling when we talk about energy?
Yeah, so I do talk about that quite a bit actually, because I've taught a lot of classes over the years, and some people feel it right away. Some people felt it even before the class, and some people, it can take years for them to start really feeling and tuning into the energy. So they call it an attunement or an activation for a reason, because there's a part of you in your own being. You're a mind, body, spirit complex. And there's an activation or an attunement that takes place so that you can access or feel these subtle energies. And the way I usually say it is, you know, the dog whistle, right? Some people, very few, but some people can just hear the dog whistle and it really bothers them. They hear it just like dogs do. Most people, they don't hear in that range. They don't hear that frequency. So, but you can train yourself to hear it. You can train your mind, body, spirit complex to be attuned to that frequency, to hear these things or to feel these things. Same thing can be said with crystals. Some people hold a crystal and they feel the vibration of the frequency in their hand, right? Do you guys feel that? Yeah. But not everybody does right away, but you can tune yourself to feel it. And it's just, you know, our bodies are amazing things, and we are processing so much all the time. And if you think about children with autism, they are so attuned to all the other frequencies that most of us tune out. They do see spirits, they do see energy, they often see chakras, they will hear the lighting, they hear everything that we tune out. And that's why things bother them so much. But you know, not that when you start tuning into these energies, you start hearing all the things, but you can choose to tune into things. You can choose to feel them and experience them. And like, for example, when I first got attuned to Reiki, that was my first energy healing course. I didn't feel the energy until I took that and I got attuned to it. And then I couldn't believe what I was feeling in my hands. So it's just one of those things. It is a gift and it's a wonderful experience. It's something I think all of us could have access to. It's just you need to attune your body to want, or not to want, but to be able to receive and process those frequencies because we've blocked it out.
I love the way that you kicked that question off, and I love the example of the dog whistle. Awesome. And it's great to hear these different ways to think about it. Debs, how about you on this one? Like, how are you going to help somebody just take one step to start to feel something different, new?
Me, I think it's about going quiet. Most people live in such busy, busy worlds, and there's noise around, there's all sorts of electromagnetic frequencies, and there is so much, I would say, so many obstacles, really. I would call them obstacles, but we're unaware of them. Most people are unaware of them. They're there, you know, and for people just to go quiet and really to take a moment, even if it's just a minute somewhere, and sit quietly, turn everything off and just breathe internally and practice doing that, then they will start to feel something. They'll start to feel a connection. And I think that's maybe where it first starts, is that connection with themselves. Because I think it's so easy in this modern day world to lose that connection. You know, I think even as healers, you know, it's so easy. If we don't do the work ourselves, we lose that connection. And I think that's really where it starts. But it does take practice. You know, like Jen said, you know, I was the same as Jen. First time I felt something was with Reiki. And all of a sudden there was all this heat in my hands. And it was like, oh, where's this come from? So it's about tuning in. And I always think like a little radio, the old fashioned, I'm doing the old fashioned radio now with the knobs, but tuning in and tuning out. And just dialing into whatever frequency it is that you're on that you need, because I do believe you'll get that, whatever it is you need, and whichever modality it is you need is on a certain frequency. But it does take, and I've got my crystal here as well, Jen, but it does take going quietly and going slowly and just going within to do that and breathe into it. And I do feel that people will either feel or see or hear or sense, whichever their most strongest way of feeling is.
Yeah, the practice of getting still and quiet was my entry point. Just practicing that over and over. Reiki was also a beginning for me, and I realized I had been giving and receiving Reiki well before I took Reiki 1. Once I took it, I realized what I had been feeling, right? So it's like just an interesting journey. Yeah, I really appreciate just the stillness now as a gift. And the feeling for me, Debs mentioned hands, because I was a hands-on practitioner for so long. My hands were the place where if I could just get quiet, I would feel all kinds of things, you know, after a while, and it feels pretty magical. But you're both also talking so far about this world that we live in that's overstimulation constantly. And so I think our practice is so important because of that. And things with technology have gotten so complicated and so fast that this is even more important now. So I think the conversation about energy is also even more important. Nydia, how about you? Tell us how you would start somebody to help them to feel a little more this energy thing we're talking about?
Well, I'm a somatic therapist, so soma is my working grounds, our body. I think if people cannot easily connect to energy on the outside, on the inside, the body is a good tool, is a good place to start, because we have the elements, we have our senses. If we go in through our sensory system, what we see is sometimes hindering, because I often ask people to close their eyes, because that brings in a lot of noise, that brings in a lot of impressions. Just like you were talking about the noise that we're surrounded with. When I go out in the real world from my refuges, where I'm always living at the end of the road in the wilderness, whatever. When I go in the real world, I'm absolutely overwhelmed. I have to put up my shield, or else I go crazy. And but it kind of numbs us in a way as a protection. We numb out because there's just too much going on around us. And so coming back into the body, our first thing is breath, of course. We connect to our body with breath, but also through all the other senses. And so I invite people often to just listen to, I say listen to the smell, to the sounds. At the moment you hear my cicadas, I'm sorry, I can't turn that off. And everything that the body can perceive, like the temperature on your skin. Our skin is a huge, huge sensitive organ. So we can also just touch ourselves and see where does the touch here cause a reaction in my body, and follow that, and follow all what is going on. This is energy flowing. I invite people, I do somatic movement. I work with Shakti and Dakini energy. That's movement, that's dance, that's sacred dance. That's moving the womb space. That's moving all the energy that's stuck in our womb. And also it connects us to the ancient wisdom, to the ancient knowing, the innate wisdom of our womb, the ancient knowing of our whole entire body system. So, and my passion is movement and change, and in any form. So inviting people to use this tool, our body, to experience and connect with ourselves and with the energy that we want to perceive. That's a first step for me always.
Yeah, that is foundational. It has been for me too. Body awareness. You can talk about awareness. A lot of people talk about mindfulness, but I actually changed it to bodyfulness a while ago for that reason that Nydia is talking about. It's like, here is the tool. We walk around with this beautiful miracle tool all day, right? And practice learning how to use it is a lifelong practice, of course. Oh, you guys I love these topics so much. I love talking about this and helping people understand what's possible. I have one more question for all of you. I'm going to ask you to try to give us your one thing, the brief 2 cents about this. For me, I think the most important thing I want people to know about energy healing is that it could be the missing piece. If you've tried everything, and you heard Jen talk about this a little in her story, all of the things she tried, and y'all have been to 15 doctors and you still don't have answers or whatever, right? So that thing I want y'all to know is that this could be a missing piece, exploring the world of energy healing. Debs, what's the most important thing you want people to know about energy healing?
It's a really, really good question. What's just popped into my head is that energy is meant to be in flow. Energy is meant to flow from the laws of science, but it can also be in resistance and it can also be in reversal. And I just feel that we are all meant to be in the flow. And that's really if we can get our energy to flow, then everything else will fall into place.
Yes, perfect. It is about flow and change. Nydia, how about you? What's the one thing you want people to know about energy healing?
I think it's all that has been said already, but it's for me, it happens on a deeper level. The energy, the healing touches us at our root. It touches us, as you said, you came away from the mindfulness and came into body awareness, right? So one thing that one practice, for instance, that I invite people to understand or explore, to really feel the impact of energy healing is, for instance, going into pleasure, because we are so much mind oriented, we forget that we have a right for pleasure and joy, for play. And here as well, I invite everybody to come back into our wonderful tool, into our body, to experience that and heal on this deep, deep level, because that's what we all want. We want joy. We want happiness. We want to be free and liberated of all the heaviness that is kind of in our world at the moment. When you look around, it seems all so heavy. And I think it's our birthright to come to pleasure, to live joy, to experience that. And that's where the energy healing for me comes in, is at the root, at the sacral chakra. This is pleasure. This is ecstasy. Create these ecstatic moments. Create them within your body, within your system, within your emotional body, within your sensual body, within your spiritual body. And this will also help you to go the whole healing cycle between the physical, where it manifests, back into the emotional, where it usually starts, and go through this pleasure and self-pleasure practice, tantric self-pleasure practice, for instance. It has nothing to do with having sex or something. It has to do with a deep connection, reconnecting to our own very, very profound being, to our soul that lives in this body. And it helps us to kind of go through all the challenges that manifest on the physical and break with this tool into spirit, into this space where we want to go in meditation, into this emptiness, into this wonderful place of peace. And for me, energy healing aims for that, aims to find a way that we can all have these ecstatic moments in our lives and all reach into this inner peace that we are looking for.
Beautiful. I wrote a poem once upon a time. It was a love poem, and it was called Your Body is a Playground. And thanks for the reminder, Nydia. Jen, you're going to close us out today. Tell us what you think that one most important thing is about energy healing.
Well, it's going to be a little bit of a mix of what Nydia and Debs had said, because, we all do this work, so we kind of see things very similarly. When I approach things, I look at the physical manifestation, which is what's presenting in any part of your life. So if it's a health issue or whatever, underneath of that is the mental, emotional aspects of what allowed that to blossom. And then underneath of that is that spiritual piece of what it is you're meant to get from it. How can you use it as a catalyst for your growth? And so with energy, what I find is that it goes into all of those areas and helps things move. It helps heal the wounding. It helps bring in the lessons. It helps uncover the lessons or uncover the things that you need to really look at. And it can dramatically change your life. It moves things. Absolutely.
I love that. Dramatically change your life.
Mhm.
Yes. Like that's what's possible. Jen, that was perfect. To all of you, Jen, Nydia, Debs, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone, ladies.
Thank you.
And thank you, Laura, for giving us this platform and giving us a voice to bring this out in the world. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome. My pleasure. To everyone listening today, I want you to know this is way more than a book we put together. It's a generous community of authors like you heard today who are there to answer a question. You know, maybe you heard something today that you've got a question or you want to carry on the conversation or you need some help and support. Drop down into the show notes and I have everybody hooked up with their websites. They are there to answer those questions. Reach out, explore what they have going on. It's a lot and it is amazing. And it could be a dramatic life shifter for you to carry on this journey with somebody who can stand beside you and guide it. And please also remember you can join us for a book launch party on Zoom. We're going to be gathering August 13th with all of the Energy Healers Oracle Volume 2 authors. I've got information down below about the party. And if you're listening anytime around that date, that means that the book has already come out and you can hop over to Amazon and grab your beautiful copy. Lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.